You're supposed to say the lines.
Oh, is it? I gotta say that.
Yes.
Public service announcement. Views and opinions are the opinions.
Fuck that bullshit. They are my opinions and my guests, no one else's. Remember, this show ain't for chitlins' ears, so listening discretion and viewing discretion is advised. This is a paranormal horror crime show, so the scenes and the sounds could be a little terrifying to those little ears and those little eyes.
shifts, and I went from night work to day work. Well, I'm out patrolling, the area, and the fairgrounds was state property, and I was a state peace officer, and I happened to see this guy staggering around in the street, and I stopped and said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he took off running. Well, I took off running too, and we was running across the like a field, and he jumped over, made a big jump over something, and I kept on going. Well, he jumped over an outside well.
Oh.
I fell into that well, and I was hanging there, on a piece of board that was across the hole, and I had my radio on me, and I called for help, and help was coming. I told him about where I was, and I was starting to slip, and I was about up to my waist in mud.
Oh God.
And I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to drown. And all of a sudden, this hand comes down and grabs me by my uniform and holds me. He looks at me, and it was Singing Fox. And he was smiling at me, and he said, "You're going to be a shaman." And then the help came and everything. They come running, and they get me out. And my partner that was on the other side of the area said, I was a lieutenant then. Lieutenant, he said, "Come here to the car. I want to show you something." And, I had mud all over me. I looked like I'm in a trench someplace. And he said, "Look in the car." And I looked in the car, and it was a guy I was running after. And he said, "You know what, Lieutenant, this guy kept hollering, Indians, Indians, Indians. He has to be out of his head." I said, "Yeah, he must be." So I went on ahead. I stayed in the police force for about a year, and then he kept coming back and forth and talking to me and stuff, and teaching me stuff, and telling me what I was going to be doing and all that. So finally, I went on ahead, turned my badge in, and I went on ahead and got myself a private investigator's license. And I had also went through EMT training too when I was a cop, so I was an EMT as well. So I would do, first responder stuff on the side, for different ambulance services and stuff. But I had my own business for a while, and as I was doing all this, I was learning what it was like to be in the paranormal, because I know there was something more to it. So I just went on ahead, and I sought out other shamans in the area, women and men, and I learned as much as I could. And finally, about 1988, I met my wife, who was working at the same place I was, and I happened to tell her that I was, what I was doing, and I was, taking the training and thing. She said, "Can you come over to my apartment? There's something going on in there." Oh. So I went over to her apartment, and she had a couple things going on there. She had a bad spirit and a good spirit, and I wound up taking care of that. And from there on, we started seeing each other, and that's how come we're married now for almost 37 years. And it was that got me started in the paranormal. It was just, once it found me, it didn't let me go.
Wow. No kidding. And that Indian guy was bound and determined for you to be a shaman.
Yeah. For all I know, he's still there. He knew when I left, and I think he knew where my journey was going to take me. And sure enough, I started out as a cop EMT, and I went from that to got my own license, and then I went on ahead and became a security agent, and then I went on ahead and became worked for hotels chain for about 6.5 years, but I was able to do it at my own pace and learn different things and still have a job kind of in the smoke fields.
Oh, that's awesome. You've had some good opportunities. Now,
yeah, I had been asked, to be on the road with different rock groups, and I had met different movie stars and things because, I was put on their detail to bodyguard them and things. So I had offers to go with them and make good money, but something told me to stay here right where I'm at, and that's where I'm at now.
So, how did you end up in the paranormal clergy?
I had went on a television show. It was a public access show, and the guy that ran the public access show, I was a guest on it. So, Willie, why don't you go ahead and have your own show? You can have your own paranormal show, talk show. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I had a friend of mine tell me, he said, we went and seen this guy. He's a priest, and he is an exorcist. He said, I think you need to talk to him. So I contacted Bishop Long and had him to come on the show, and he came on the show, and we clicked right away, you know. And he after the show was over with, he came up to me and said, "Look, Willie, he told me all about the paranormal clergy, why he started it. And he's got different practitioners and all that kind of stuff. And me being a shaman, he said you would be a good addition to it." And that's where we got started back in I guess it was 19. It was about 20 years ago. So that's how I got Bishop Long.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, so being a part of the paranormal clergy, because what is your nationality? You're Indian and Irish, right?
Cherokee and Irish. So I got good. You know, I'm good with both people because I'm first Cherokee and I'm Celtic too. So you know, I've got the best of both worlds.
Well, how do you bridge the gap between the traditional religious beliefs and the paranormal phenomena?
You know, I've been asked that a lot, and people have walked up to me and said, "How can you do what you do and be Christian too?" I said, "I work for the Great Spirit just like all the other clergy members, and you know, I work beside Buddhists and Catholics and Protestants, and you know, and we all work together. We work for the same person." And I've been threatened. I've been threatened so bad. I've had Bibles sold at me. I've been spit on. Shaman had to be escorted out of a building one time by the police to make sure we got out of there.
Oh my gosh!
I was there doing readings, and I didn't go over very well, you know, and back then, right now it's commonplace now. I mean, you can do readings just about anywhere and not be bothered.
Yeah.
Because the paranormal has opened up so much, and the veil has been thinned where a lot of people are experiencing things. They come looking for you now for help.
Oh my gosh. You know, that's kind of crazy. A lot of the like, I'm Christian, but you see a lot of the stuff that happened way back in the day, and it's like, you know what happened to judge lest not you be judged? I mean, you guys, I mean, a lot of them are still doing that today too, but it sounds like you believe like I believe. Like I believe like all religion comes together into one thing. Something spurred all the religions that are out there now, and it comes from one being.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 12. All you got to do is tell people to go to 1 Corinthians 12 in the Bible, and it would explain everything to them, because it talks about people are able to discern spirits and heal and all kinds of stuff in there for spiritual gifts, and it comes from God. So, you know, I pull that on somebody, you know, that starts spouting Bible verses to me. I said, okay, go 1 Corinthians 12. You know, I'm also an ordained Pentecostal minister too.
Oh. My mama was Pentecostal. She I believe she was a healer, because whenever I remember a couple of times when I was a little girl and I got fevers or anything, my mama would always have her come up and put her hands on me, and she'd start praying and speaking in tongues. And I was better. I was better not too long afterwards. So she was something.
Well, I've actually had ministers come to me and say, well, we've tried to, something's going on in this house. We've tried everything. We prayed and they had prayer circles and everything. Something ain't right there. We need you. So I pulled up in front of this house, and the family were camped out in the front yard. I mean, they had tents up and everything. They wouldn't go into their house because it was so active. And I went in there and found out that the house was built on a battleground.
Oh gosh.
You know, I went in and I cleaned the house up, you know, and I got it free of all these spirits, and I released them and everything, and I had to actually do the whole grounds, cross the street and everything, because I mean, it was a wide area that I had to work on, and finally I got the house cleared, and they were able to go back in their house. But yeah, the regular minister came and called me and said, these people need your help. And when I got there, they were like I said, they were living in tents out in the front yard. They were afraid to go in the house, and after that, they got their house back.
Oh my gosh, they were living in tents in their backyard?
Yep.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Holy cow. And when was this? This was like in the beginning of your time, or?
I had been out for a while. It's just been, it's probably been about 15 years ago now.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, can you discuss a time when you faced skepticism regarding your work and how you addressed it? I mean, I know you said you go to the Corinthians, but is there any other time that you've faced any kind of skepticism at like conventions or anything? Has anybody ever come to you at a convention and told you needed to?
Oh yeah. Bishop Long and I, about 10 years ago, we decided to have our own expo. So we got, we got the money up for the expo, and we had the expo, and
Convention and told you needed
hotel. Unfortunately, there was a wedding that was across the thing, and they were really hardcore Christians.
Oh no.
And I mean, we had all kinds of trouble. People coming in. He said, "The devil, you're going to go to hell. You're going to da 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 da." And we tried to explain to them what was going on. They wouldn't hear it. And finally, it got so bad that people that were trying to get into our expo, they wouldn't come in. They thought it was going to be too dangerous. So he and I really broke even on the thing because the tickets we did sell, it was just enough to pay for the place and what we owed, and that was it. We came out of there even, and we were lucky at that. And every now and then you run into somebody that that's really hardcore, and they you think you're going to have a problem and really bodily injury and stuff like that. But then when they found out, I explained to them where I come from and how the training I've had and everything. And if they wanted to go ahead and go one-on-one with me, that's fine. And they kind of back off when they found out what my background, because when I was a cop, I was young then. I was like 25 years old, and I didn't take anything over anybody. I beat out quite a many people just grabbed a hold of me. I've been shot at and all that kind of stuff, so I come through it okay. But as the last few years, I mean, especially with these paranormal shows and everything coming on, and people are interested in it, and they see what goes on and everything. It's kind of got a lot lighter in that area.
Yeah. My goodness. Well, I know you've talked about seeing things and seeing people that have passed on. What, in your experience, what are some common misconceptions people have about psychics and mediums?
That we're working with the devil, they don't realize, what we're trying to do. I mean, they think we're cons.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, you run into people. I have not worked, but I went to an event, and I put up a table and everything, and they had all the psychics and mediums lined up down a row and stuff. And I'd walk through there, and I could feel who was the con and who was the real deal. They have the energy off of them that comes off of them. That's the real deal. The cons, you can tell. One thing, they overcharge.
Yeah.
I had one guy who was dressed in, I don't know what kind of costume it was. I mean, he had a robe on, and his eyes was rolling back in his head. And he was talking gibberish, and I stood there and looked at him, and I started laughing at him. And he looked at me. He took his table out and he left.
Oh gosh.
And I started walking down. The people were seeing me. I was walking down the road, and I was standing in front of the people that I knew that wasn't the real deal. And before it was over, I think about 10 people left.
Because they knew.
I could tell by the energy. And like I said, you've got people there. My readings were reasonable, like $20, and that was just, medicine readings. Now, there were people there charging $75, $100 for reading, and people were sitting down and paying that.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't believe it. And I just, I would feel bad about taking that kind of money from people. Then there are some people that does private readings that they charge more than that. They can charge up to $500 an hour.
Oh my Jesus.
And I said, well, you got to have heart to do this kind of work, and it's all about the money, and the reading aren't all that good anyway, because I had a person pay that kind of money and come to me, and I would give them a reading, and I would tell them exactly the opposite and what was going on and how it was going. And they said, you know what? you told me more than your reading. That's the person I paid $500. I said, you paid $500 for reading. I said, you got took. He said, I think so too. And I've had people come to me that's paid thousands. Like I had one person I did a reading for $20 a long time ago, and they had paid $10,000 to this person. They just kept going back to them and back to them and back to them, and this person almost bankrupted this person. I said, get away from them.
Oh,
Don't go back to
gosh.
them people.
Yeah,
I've got
no.
a lot of people out of certain situations like that because they've come to me and they've heard my reputation and they said, what do you think about this? And I do the reading for them, and I get them out of situations that were causing them, thousands of dollars. And that's a con game.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, a little on the funny side, how do you balance your Cherokee and Irish ancestors inside whenever you're needing to use them for any kind of work or anything that you do? Like, which ancestor is better?
I'll tell you a story about that. I went to a relative had died, and we went, we had the wake and everything, and we had a party. I guess a lot of people had, when people go after the funeral, they have food and stuff like that. But when you got a Cherokee and an Irish background, you have all kinds of people around. And I asked my dad that one time, and I had people there that looked like me.
Uh-huh.
And I had people there that had red hair, blue eyes. And I looked at my dad and I said, what's going on, Dad? I mean, they don't look like us. He said, that's because that's your Irish side, son. He said, these are your family, because my grandmother was Irish. This is your family. This is your Irish side. Because we were Murphy on one side and Gibson's on the other. And he explained to me that way. And he said, and that stayed with me because, when I would go into a situation where a lot of Indians won't let any kind of a priest or anything.
Right.
Their spiritual side, they'll seek out a shaman, or it's vice versa.
Yeah.
And I'm able to walk both sides because, like I said, I'm Pentecostal on the other side, and I would go on the Irish side and do my thing too, because Irish religions and stuff like that are mostly Catholic, and I was able to go in there, and if they had something really spiritual and nasty, I was able to click into the Irish side once they knew I was a Murphy, and they were more relaxed with me. That although I look like Tonto, I could walk in there and the Murphy side of the family and be right at home.
Oh, awesome. That is amazing. Now, can you share a specific experience from your 60 years in the paranormal that significantly kind of shaped your perspective as a shaman and supernatural consultant?
Well, perspective how? Did a bad case or what?
Any kind of specific experience that kind of made you feel like, yes, I am on the right path. I'm on the right calling.
Okay, I have gotten a lot of calls about elementals.
Oh.
And people tell me, I don't know what's going on with my house. I don't know what's going on with my property. I see things looking in the window that I don't want there. They look grotesque. They look like gargoyles or something like that. I had one case that I got called out on like that, and what it was, this house was a brand new house, and they had cut the property, had cleared the trees off this property, and it was a pretty good chunk of property that this house was built on, because it's a beautiful home and it had a garage and all the kind of stuff to it, but they were having problems. The kids were being scared. So I was called out, and I got to the property, and I started walking around. I looking back at the tree line to the forest, and I had a feeling that something was calling me in there. And I walked into the forest, and I felt the elementals around me. That spirit. That these are creatures that nature makes. And I told them that I want them to leave these people alone because they're not going to cause you any harm. And I told them, and they knew who I was. I said, I'm putting up a barrier right here. I don't want you to cross this barrier anymore. If I'm called out again to come to this property, I'm going to take care of you, and I'm going to make you go out and go away forever. And they know I could do it. And I put my barriers up, and I put my sacred things down to mark out the property to where they can't cross that line. I went back and told the property owner what was going on, that they had an elemental problem, and they wouldn't be bothered anymore. Nothing will be looking in the windows or anything like that. So it was that time that, that you realize, being a shaman, that things know what you are. As far as shamans work with nature a lot, they know what a shaman's capable of, and shamans have their spirit guides and warriors with them in case they have to go deep into a fight. And after that, they didn't have any more problems. I didn't have, once I left the property, they didn't have a thing.
Anything mess with them?
And then I had a case where I was called out. The lady said she was being killed, and she was possessed. She'd been killed by a demon. So I showed up, and as I drove up to the property, I know something was wrong because everything was dead around the property. The grass was dead, the flowers were dead. I walked up to the house, and I pecked on the door, and the lady opened the door, and she was really thin. I could barely see her eyes. Looked inside the house, and it was a mess. You could smell stench coming out, and right then I knew I had a demonic case. And I walked in there, and I went into the Pentecostal phase of it. I got my cross and my holy water and all that kind of stuff I carry with me.
Right.
And then told her to sit down because I looked around. She had water coming up out of the sink. Shooting up like a geyser. And I looked around, and there was there must have been 10,000 flies on the wall.
Oh my gosh.
There were 2 dogs that were going crazy, and she had a great big bird in the cage that was going crazy, and I just yelled at them to be still, and then they stopped. It looked like they were in a trance. I walked around the house, and I opened up the door and went down into the basement. The basement had about 3 foot of water in it. This house was being destroyed. So I go back upstairs, and the lady said, I can't eat, I can't drink, So I went on ahead, and I did the ceremony. As I started the ceremony, she almost rose up out of that chair, levitated, and I started doing the prayers and things and the holy water and stuff. And I told the thing to be gone. It took me about 3 hours to finally fight with it. It left the property, and you could see the difference in the woman. And I got her to start eating and drinking. And come to find out, as I walked through the house, I see a bunch of dolls. There must have been 200 dolls laying around the wall. I said, "Where does all these dolls come?" She said, "That's my haunted item. That's my haunted dolls. I said, you need to get rid of them." And she said, "I'm not getting rid of them." I said, "Ma'am, you need to get rid of them. If you don't, you're gonna bring whatever is back." She said, "I'm not getting rid of them." I said, "So be it." So I got up and I left, and I left the property, and I left it up to her. I know whatever happened after that, I don't know. But there's some cases like that I've worked.
Wow. And in any of those cases, did you ever have to call in Bishop Long?
I've worked with Bishop Long. He sent me out on cases with the clergy to clear. He sent me to Ohio with another priest one time. We had to clear a property out that was infested. Yeah, I've worked with him, and we went out together and looked at different things, and we actually went into a house one time that was said to have had a serial killer living there, and there were several kids missing for years. And actually, Bishop Long and I walked through the house, and he could see some stuff too. And me and him saw a spirit of a little girl in there that had been missing for years, and she led us outside to the backyard. In the backyard, you could tell there was nothing growing along the fence line, and we figured that there were several bodies buried there. We notified the police. The police did not do anything about it because they weren't going to go without a warrant and a reason to go dig up a property. And they weren't going to listen to somebody from the paranormal clergy and a psychic saying they're buried there. As far as I know, they're still there. So we've worked cases like that, you know, and of course we've done shows together and events together and all that kind of stuff. So we're pretty well tight.
Wow. Wow. A serial killer case. You know, true crime is one of my favorite things to watch and to research. But there's been times that I've actually called on some friends of mine that are mediums or psychics that I try to get some information from them. And I just find it fascinating what you guys can see and hear and accomplish whenever you're trying to reach out to the other side and get the answers that are needed for these cases. Have you ever worked on a case for a police department or anything like that?
Yes, I have. I worked. I had a file sent to me by victims' parents, and I looked at the file and I looked at the autopsy photos and everything, and the person came to me that was in spirit and showed me exactly what happened.
Oh gosh.
And I got back with the family, and I told them exactly what had happened. And to come to find out, the killers both were dead. One was murdered, and the other one was killed in the accident. So they got their just rewards. But I was able to do closure for them because I told them what the person went through and how they were killed, and the body was moved, and they threw the body in I think a creek or something. They to make people think that they drowned, but they did. They were they were smothered to death, manually. So and the police force wouldn't do anything about it. We kind of figured that there was something a little strange right there too. So we didn't know what was going on with that. But I was able to close that case for them, and of course I've done some things under the table for police departments, did counseling and things like that on certain cases, even with Homeland Security. So I had to keep that part, a secret,
Yeah.
for resources and stuff.
Wow, interesting. Oh my gosh. I tell a lot of people that I wish I had their gifts, and then a lot of people tell me no you don't. But I do. I wish I had your gift. I would love to be able to help.
A lot of true mediums and people that has spiritual gifts and things like that, they don't want to push it too much. They don't want people to know about it. And a lot of people they're really into this and is good at it. They kind of keep it to themselves because they don't want to be considered cons or anything like that. But you get people out there that wants thousands of dollars to do stuff. You kind of got to look at them in a funny kind of way, because a lot of people, that work on a case, they'll ask up front. They want airfare and hotel room and car rental and stuff like that. If something's far off, the Paranormal Clergy and Bishop Long has a network set up that, and I have one too called the Soul Warriors, that if I can say something going on in Arizona, I can't go to Arizona. I got people out there that will work it. I'll do telephone work with them, and I will work the case that way. They do the legwork, and I'll tell them what to do, and that's how come we can get things done.
Nice. That's awesome. What actually inspired you to become a paranormal consultant?
Well, I had so much coming through from other places, that I just had to start using computer and phone.
Yeah.
And that's why I call it consulting, because I'm not really there, but I can tell what's going on. And then, like I said, I will call, get on the network that I have, and I'll call that person and tell them what's going on, and I will consult back with them, back and forth. And I have people come to me, well, this is going on. I've seen this creature, I've seen Bigfoot, and I think I've seen the Mothman, and I've seen this going on, that's going on in the house, and I can kind of judge what's going on and send a team in there that I know that's in the area. So that's where the consulting part comes in.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Drawing from your
We don't get paid for this. We, you know,
right.
you know, if it's local in the same town, sure, we'll go by the house or whatever, and you can take care of it. But if it's far off, Bishop Pond will tell you, if it's way off, you know, he has to rely on his network too, because we don't, you know, like I'm on Social Security, and he's a priest, and he don't get paid for the,
Right.
You know, that's, you know, we can't put up that kind of money.
Yeah. But and then you see all these that I know there's a lot. I've met quite a few phony psychics, and they may be somewhat medium or whatnot, but they take advantage of a lot of people. And to me, that's wrong, especially when you're trying to help a family that's in need or someone that's grieving. But whenever we're going to kind of turn the tide a little bit. Drawing from your Cherokee heritage, are there any traditional practices or beliefs that you find particularly relevant in modern paranormal investigations?
Well, you know, where a lot of people use these old high-tech things like EMF meters, and this new product comes out, that new product comes out, and they're going to use this, you know, scope and that scope. I find, you know, if I'm going to go out and do anything, I don't have a whole lot of. I do have an EMF meter. That's it, and I rely on my you know, my energy to pick up stuff, and then I have stuff like I have my tuning forks, and I have pendulum, and you know, and of course we use sage and smoke and stuff like that, and to do clearings and things like that. But I don't have a whole lot of high tech stuff with me. You know, when I go out, you know, I take my medicine bag, and that's it. You know, that's why it falls back on my Native American heritage, because I was taught how to do these things and how to put up barriers, and you know, how to use salt and how to use this and that special stones and things like that. The Native American way. Right.
Well, what techniques or practices do you find most effective in connecting with spiritual entities?
Well, you know, usually when I walk into a house or a property or something, they can feel my energy as I can feel them. They'll feel the energy around me, and they come up and we kind of blend, and I can feel them and they can feel me, and we contact each other that way.
Okay. So it's pretty much a filler kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've walked in an area that's supposed to be really, really haunted, nothing be there. Now, whether it's hiding someplace else, because like I said, I had a case where a family was being messed with, and there was a portal opened from one house to another. The other house was vacant, and this house, you know, that's where the portal was, and this entity was kind of going back and forth. So all I had to do was close the portal that was in the house that had the family in it, and I blocked off the entity from coming from the other way of the house.
And that's kind of something that's kind of simple for someone like you, right?
Well, I walked in. I mean, they were getting you know, terrorized. I mean, the portal was in the laundry room, and all I had to do was walk in there, and I could feel it. So you could tell the rush of air and everything. And I told Shaman, that's my wife. I said, all we got to do is close this portal off, clean this, you know, do a clearing on the house. And I think we're going to be okay. And I did that. And of course, I was called in by a paranormal team to do that. They came and got us. Said, Willie, we did the investigation. We got stuff on film and DVPs and stuff, but we don't know what to do. And then I'll say, I'll take it from here. And then I went in and did my thing, and the house was clear, and the family was okay, and whatever was on the other side was trapped. Of course, I couldn't go over clear the other house because it was vacant and it was owned by somebody else, and I'm not going to go over there and mess around somebody's house. So,
right.
you know, I put up the barrier, I closed the portal, put up a barrier, and everything was okay then.
Oh, that is awesome. Now, in your experience, like, how do you discern between genuine paranormal activity and psychological phenomenon?
Well, and I do this, every good paranormal investigator and team will sit down and do an interview with the people, and you know, if they're putting on or they want us to. I've had people actually want me to certify their house is haunted so they can do, you know, charge people to go in and do investigations.
Con people.
And I said, you know, I'm not going to do that. I've got a good reputation. I'm not going to do that.
Right?
Well, you got to just tell them that there's nothing in there, and I'm not going to do it. And I'll walk away from them. And it's stuff like that. And you got a lot of people. I had a case one time. A woman called me that they took my child away from me because they think I'm crazy, but what it is, I'm possessed. And could you come over and do an exorcism on me? Once the exorcism is over, you can tell the people I'm okay. I went over to this woman's house. I said, "There's something wrong. I'm going to meet her someplace." So Shaman, a soul warrior member, one of my people, and I said, "Well, let's meet at McDonald's." So I met this woman at McDonald's. She came in, sat down in front of me. She started jerking her head, rolling her eyes back in her head, and she was jerking her mouth back and forth. Well, I knew she had tardive dyskinesia because Shaman has that from taking a lot of medicine. Well, she was taking it because she was taking Adderall, and she didn't tell me. She was jerking her head. She said, "You can see the beatings in me." And I said, "I'll tell you what. Why don't we go back to your place and let me take a look around?" And we went back to this woman's house. Walked into the house. I had Shaman with me, and I had one of my warriors with me, and she was taping it. And walked to the house. The house was a mess. I mean, everything was tore up. There was writing on the walls, and it looked. I don't know what was in that bathtub. It looked like blood. And I looked at this woman and said, "Have you had any kind of mental problems?" Right? "Oh, I was in the mental institution for a while." "Yeah."
Oh.
I said, "Were you on any kind of medication?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "I was on Adderall, but I got took off. I stopped taking it." And I backed off, and I called Bishop Long. I always got, "Bishop, this is what I got." He said, "Willie, this woman is in trouble. You tell her to contact her doctor and have them put her back in the hospital. Have her get back on that Adderall, because she is having she's having mental problems right now." He said, "Make sure she does it. If she refuses it, call the mental hospital. Let them know that one of their patients is having a breakdown, and tell them now." And I went back and told the lady, I said, I'm not gonna do an exorcism on you. You need to go back to the hospital, and you need to get back on your medicine. "No, you're going to do an exorcism on me so I can get my child back." I said, "I'm not going to put a child back in this house because you're mentally unstable. And I'm not going to do it." Well, I did what Bishop Long did. I called the institution. I told them, what was going on, and they thanked me. They said they would take care of it. Well, I backed Shaman out there, my other team member, and we got out of there. And and do you know, this woman got on the line on the internet and started bad mouthing me on the internet, telling people I was a fake and I was a fraud, that she needed an exorcism, and I didn't do it. Well, people got on there and they got all over. He said,
Yeah.
He was right. There's something wrong with you, and she got off her really fast, because every one of them wasn't on her side. They just ran her right off. There must have been 50 or 100 people got onto her, and she got offline. And I don't know whatever happened to her, but she wanted me to say, do an exorcism, say she's clear, and bring my baby back.
Yeah, no, I would not put a child in that kind of.
Bishop Long would tell you. You can ask him. He will back me up 100%. Yeah, he told me to do that.
Yep. Well, and sometimes people need help and they don't want to admit that they need help, and they try to blame it on other people.
When I met her at McDonald's, and her mouth started twitching and everything. Well, Shaman did that because she took a Reglan, and it made her have tardive dyskinesia for the rest of her life, and she's on a special medicine now to keep her condition under control. But this woman, she had taken antipsychotics, and that gives you tardive dyskinesia.
Oh wow, that's sad. That's sad. My son had to be put on I can't remember exactly what it was called. It was a very long time ago. And I saw his eye twitch, and when the minute his eye started twitching, I took him immediately off of it and said, "Nope, no, he's not getting on any medication." There was nothing wrong with him. It was just the school trying to deem that he needed to be put on drugs, and I should have never let them do that. But anywho's it was it. What advice would you give to someone who believes they're experiencing a paranormal event in their home?
Well, first of all, if you're able to do it and you have a good team, you need to send a team in there and let them try to get some evidence. And Bishop Long would tell you the same thing. I mean, he's got the paranormal clergy where he's got different teams that he can send in and try to get the evidence. And then if it's spiritual enough to where it's clergy has to intervene, like do an exorcism or anything, or I have to do a clearing or anything, that's how you do that. I have gone in myself and do a walkthrough, and I've used to do it called the old-fashioned way, and I can pretty well tell. But usually you send a team in to get evidence.
Yeah, exactly. Now you've written a couple of books too. Your book, The Shaman Windwalker, has intrigued a lot of people. Can you share a particularly powerful story from it that showcases your shamanic practices?
Well, the story about singing fox is in there. The story about the UFO abduction is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting various spirits. Some of the, there was one story in there, and I could tell you, my dad died in 1984, and it hit me pretty hard. And 2 weeks after he died, I went into his room and laid down on the bed, and I closed my eyes because I just got off work and I felt this tug on my foot, and I looked up and there he was floating at the foot of the bed. He floated around the side of the bed. He had both of his legs amputated, and finally, he just died from heart failure. But he pointed down and showed me his feet, his legs, and he was smiling. So I get up off the bed and I go to touch him, and he backs off and he says no. He shucks his head no, and he disappears. Well, I just saw my dad. Of course, you want to hug your father or your mother. No, he wouldn't let me do it. So 6 months passed, and I'm walking down a hallway in a hotel where I was running the security at, and seen this guy walking up the hallway, and I was kept walking and walking, and finally he got into the light, and it was my father. And he walks up, and how you doing, Willie? I said, Dad? He said, yeah. I said, what are you doing? He said, I wanted to come and talk to you. I said, what do you want to talk about? He said, when I saw you the other time, I couldn't let you touch me or talk to me because there's, I guess you would say, rules. When you cross over, you can come and visit for a few minutes, and then you got to go back because you got things to learn and to do and everything. And I didn't know this. And I said, well, can I touch you now? I said, sure. And I touched him. And he was solid, but he was cool.
Right.
And, he wasn't white or flesh, like he didn't have any blood in him or nothing. He just looked like Dad, but he looked like Dad when he was 3 years old. He was really young. He was smiling at me. And I said, I want to tell you something now. You're on a path, and you need to stay on that path. Whatever happens from now on, you stay on this path, you stay on the spiritual path, and you'll be okay. I'll be watching you, and your grandpa will be watching you too. Because I said, where is he? Can he come? He said, he'll come and see you. Just like he used to come to see me in my dreams, my grandpa, but I didn't realize it wasn't a dream. He was really there. So, he said, he's watching over you too. You got to pass him. He said, I'm going to go now, and I'll be watching you. I'll see you again. And then he just faded out. And I just stood there in the middle of the hall and smiled, and I just walked and got on the elevator and went downstairs. Just wanted to tell me that there was some certain things that happen when you cross over that you have to go through before, they can come back and forth and transition.
Oh, wow.
And people, don't understand that. If spirits have, people people keep saying, well, that was probably a demon. No, I know my father.
Yeah.
It was no demon. And ever since then, I'm not afraid to go tackle something. Now, something happened about 8 weeks ago that I'm going to tell you about if I got time.
You got time.
Okay. As you know, I've been going through a lot of stuff the last couple of months, and I've been putting out a lot of energy to keep my wife alive because she had lost a leg.
Yeah.
And I pulled her through that with healing. I give a lot of my energy to her, and then she broke a hip the following month trying to get up out of a chair. She didn't realize she didn't have that leg, so I gave her a lot of energy then. Well, I have been fighting negative spirits for the last 30 years. And I've been keeping everything away, but the barrier that I put up failed, and one of these spirits got into my house and attached itself to me.
Oh no.
And looking around, something wasn't going on right, and the house didn't feel right. And I was hollering at Shaman, I shouldn't have been doing that. And I got to thinking, she's lost a leg. And she's broke a hip. That's just too far together. So I got on the phone. I called Bishop Long. I said, Bishop, I think something's going on here at the house. Can you come and check it out? Well, about a week later, he come over and he walked in the house. And right away, I got mad. I invited him, but I got mad.
Yeah.
And he came in and sat down. He was talking to us and all that. And I said, something right. Something right, Bishop. He said, well, let's do some prayers and mass and all that. So he took a couple medallions out, a couple necklaces, he blessed them. He said, you put yours on, Mom put hers on. I did it. The minute I did that, something that felt right, I started shaking inside. He said, I'm going to bless these crosses, and I want you to hold them. He gave me one and Shaman one. Was and right away, I felt this pain hit me, and I started rocking back and forth, and I was going out of it because I was getting different images in my mind of Jesus laughing, and the rosary, the rosary he gave me was, I held it upside down, and it started burning my hand. I started, and my senses left me. And I could hear Bishop Long, starting to do prayers and everything, and I heard a voice, take this rosary and choke him. Choke him now. Kill him.
Oh no.
And I'm rocking back, and then all of a sudden I lost it, and I could feel this coldness go through my body, and I could hear Bishop Long talking, but I couldn't understand what he was doing. And finally I felt him touch my head. When he touched my head, this thing just went, kill him now. Kill him. Get up and kill him now. And Bishop Long kept doing prayers, and Bishop Long told me later that he was hitting me with holy water and all this kind of stuff, and I was rocking back and forth, and finally all of a sudden this thing just screamed. And then I felt at peace, and I opened my eyes, and Bishop Long was standing there, and the crucifix felt all right. The necklace around my neck was okay. I looked over to Shaman, she was okay. He said, now, Willie, we're going to do a mass. And he did mass, and he given me a host, and I ate it and all this. What he was doing, he was testing me to make sure whatever it was gone.
Oh my gosh.
And it was no reaction. And I looked at him. He said, now look, everything's good, And he said, just sit there. And I watched him. And he went to the house. He got blessed oils, and he went over the door and of each door in the house, and he did another blessing, and he went through and did a clearing, and he did the holy water and all that, and the house just felt a whole lot better, and it was light. What has happened is he had to do a minor rite of exorcism on me to get this thing out of me, because he felt it when he walked through the door. I think he had a kind of an idea that what was going on before he got there, because I told him, and he trusts me. When I tell him something, I mean it.
Yeah.
When he walked in the house, he told me he felt it. And a couple of days later after he left, I said, Bishop, there's something I got to tell you, but I didn't tell you before. This thing wanted me to kill you really bad. he wanted me to take whatever it was that wanted me to take that rosary and choke you to death with it. He said, it's okay. It's okay. You know, he said, I've ran into this before. But yeah, my guard was down so much that they had to do an exorcism on me.
Oh my goodness, because you were using all your energy and stuff to help your wife. Oh, wow.
I'm recharged. We're doing good. She's coming back slowly.
Good.
You know, she's able to stand up and pivot and sit down in the chair and all that. So what I've been told by the physical therapist, it's going to take about 6 months, but hopefully we can get her other leg put on and she'll be able to stand. So, and everything is okay. The house is back like it was. I'm back like I should be, and everything is good. So that's how close Bishop Long and I are.
Wow, that is so awesome, Willie. I'm so glad everything is better for you right now.
But people don't realize, you know, people in this field are constantly being attacked, and we have to keep barriers up. And sometimes when those barriers break, it allows whatever it's been fenced in or waiting to come in.
Yeah. Yeah, and with the way you can feel and see the energy, do you see the energy or do you just feel it?
I can see it.
You can see it? So the way you feel and see the energy, I can only imagine with the barriers that you have to put up around yourself, especially for the evil ones that want to come in all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, what kind of advice would you give someone interested in pursuing a path similar to yours in the paranormal field?
Get yourself somebody to teach you that knows what they're doing. Get a professional. Don't look in the book and call yourself a shaman. Don't look in your book and call yourself a paranormal investigator. Find you a good team that knows what they're doing. If you want to learn how to be an investigator, if you want to go into, if you feel that you're being drawn to be a shaman, you need to find a shaman that knows what they're doing, and it's the real deal.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I am so glad I met Bishop Long those few years ago, because without meeting him, I wouldn't meet awesome people like you or the Booth brothers, those that I can actually trust. If I need something, I can go to you guys and say, hey, this is what's happening. Can you help me? So thank you so much for coming on. Now, Willie, finally, what's next for you? Are there any upcoming projects or investigations you're excited about or you're going to be doing?
Well, you know, I put the 2 books on Amazon, The Shaman, Windwalker, and The Soul Warriors. I've been working on a book of short stories for the last 2 years. I'm getting ready to put those out. There are other stories that I've written for the Underground Paranormal magazine that I'm going to put in a book form and put it out soon. So, and of course, I'm doing my counseling, you know, online and stuff like that. So, if people want to contact me, they can contact me on Facebook, Willie Gibson, or at crystalT55@AOL.com.
You said Crystal T?
Crystal T.
Oh, Chief. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Willie, I want to thank you again so much for coming on and sharing your experience with me. I did not get to ask you anything about UFOs, though. I do want to ask you one more question, if you'd let me.
Sure.
All right. So UFO sightings have been making headlines recently, as you know, with the government and everything else. Now, based on your expertise or experience, what's your take on the increased public interest in extraterrestrial life?
The UFOs are now, they don't care who see them. You know, I think there's going to be a mass landing soon where no matter what the government says, they're going to be right there, you know, right in front of you, and they don't care. Some of them are engineered ships that we've worked on, but a lot of them are different species. And you know, maybe we can do another show about that, because I've met quite a few aliens, and we'll talk about bases and things like that.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. We'll get you on next season. How's that?
It's good.
Awesome. Willie, thank you so much again, and you have yourself a wonderful day, and I hope you and Shaman get all the happiness you deserve.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Oh my God, you guys, this man is amazing. If you want to look him up, go to Facebook and look up Willie Gibson. You see his face right there, right there. Go to Facebook, look up Willie Gibson, find that man's face. That's his profile picture. Look him up. talk to him. He has an amazing mind. I've seen a few podcasts with him on there, and just listening to him is just his experience, what he's gone through, all the stuff that he's done in the 60 years that he's been doing it is absolutely phenomenal. And you got Bishop James Long that he's been friends with for 25 years. He knows the Booth brothers. He's been on A&E. This man is simply amazing and so very, very nice. He's such a very nice man. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you want to ask him some questions through me, you're more than welcome to. You can leave me a message at Shaw Wooten on Facebook. You can go to exploringtheparanormalperspective.com and leave a message there in the chat. You can go to EPP_podcast at geeksparanormal.com and shoot me a message there. If you're somebody that watches the show and you have a paranormal group, or you are a psychic, or you are a medium, or you're clairvoyant, or anything like that, or you're a shaman and you want to share your experience and share your stories, please go to EPP_podcast at geeksparanormal.com and we'll get you scheduled. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. And until next time, which is next week at the same time, 4:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. I had to move it up because I do work from 8 to 3. So until next time, thank you guys for watching. Stay free, stay safe, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I will see you guys later. Bye, y'all.
Switch it on and come along. Haunted houses all night long. Gaming streams and ghostly scenes. Just chatting with the in-betweens. IRL, she's on the case. Finding spirits in each place. Every game she plays with flair. Geeks, paranormal, she's there. Ghosts and games all night.